Hello everyone, welcome to this new series of video where we will make some tutorials about our plugins. So let's start with the Unreal Web Server plugin. Let's go. To make this video, I'm going to start from a totally cleaned environment. I will create a new empty Unreal 4.24 project in which I will add the Unreal Web Server plugin and use it. So first step, I will create an empty project using default settings, no starter content. Okay. Okay, and here I have a new fresh project. First step is to enable the UWS Unreal Web Server here in your plugins list. Okay, enable. We need to restart the editor. We will try to make a first easy job with UWS using a simple web page. Okay. We will put all the UWS code in the level blueprint, for instance, because we will be totally sure this code will be executed in first in our application. So let's open this blueprint here, and we have the begin play event, which is supposed to be executed on the startup. We will create a new Unreal Web Server, okay, using this node. This node, get or create web server instance, will allow us to get a web server reference, which is a singleton. Basically, we can use this node to get the web server instance everywhere in our application. In my current project, I will only need a web server instance in this particular blueprint, so this will be an easy task. Once the web server gets, we have to start the Unreal Web Server, okay, using this particular function. We need to specify a listening port, a listening TCP port, for instance 8080, a document root. If you have HTTP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript content, you can specify a document root. For my example, I don't have to specify that attribute. And then I can create a request handler. Okay, Unreal Web Server here. An URI handler, which is the main function you will need in the UWS plugin, because this function is needed to handle an URI request. For instance, if I want to handle the slash, which means the home of our application, I can specify the path with a single slash. If I want to handle slash get test, I can handle the get test endpoint. Okay. I can specify which method will be handled. In my case, I will select a star, which means all methods. If you need to handle only get methods, you can use this filter. And last step is, should I execute the callback in the game thread? This is a particular point we will show you later why this can be useful. In my particular case, I don't need to execute this callback in the game thread, so I will let this box unchecked. I need to create a new callback, for instance the get test callback, and this callback will give me a connection. Using this connection object, I can do a lot of things. For instance, I can get a get var, I can get a post var, I can get a header, I can get the data, I can get the cookie, I can get a lot of things finally. For my first step, I will do nothing, I will just return a response in order to display a message in the web client, a single message, a string message. Okay, so I can use the send response function. I need to select a new response. I can construct a response using these two functions. The construct response function is really good to construct a full response with a lot of customization. In my case, I will use a construct response X, which will simply return HTTP code 200, which is the HTTP code of everything works, and I can return a string content with, for instance, it works. And this is the base code of an Unreal web server. Okay. I will add an endplay event in order to stop the web server. Once more, I can get or create web server instance. Because the web server instance is already created, this function will simply get the web server. And the last step is to stop the server properly. Okay. Oh, I have this little mistake. Okay, good. Everything is good. I can save test map. Okay, this is my first map. If I play, a web server is created on the port 8080. Okay. I can open a new web browser. For instance, I use Edge for test purpose, and I can call the web server URL, and because I am on the same website, it is localhost.8080, because 8080 is a port of the Unreal web server, /get test, because my function is my endpoint, sorry, is called getText. Okay, and it works. If I can another time, you can see everything works perfectly. Okay, this is because my getTest endpoint is listened and is bound. If you try to use a /get toto endpoint, which is not available, you will have an 404 error. Okay, so let's see why we can have some issue with execute in-game thread or not. Okay, so the execute in-game thread boolean will allow us to control some assets directly from the Unreal Web Server plugin. Okay, so let's use a text renderer, for instance. Okay, I will create a simple text renderer here. Okay, and I will create a simple code to edit this text using HTTP endpoint. Okay, so let's go back in our web server plugin code. Okay, let's add a new URL handler. Okay, perfect, with /setText, for instance. Okay, and I will execute this endpoint in game thread because the text is an asset and I want my callback to be executed in game thread because the game thread is the only thread able to edit assets in Unreal Engine. Okay, set text callback, same as before. Send response. I want to response X with OK, for instance, and here I will add my code to edit my text. Okay, so in order to edit this text, I will retrieve a reference on this actor here, and I will set text. Okay. Okay. And my text will be a get variable. So I will call get variable, and the name will be text, for instance. Okay. Okay. Let's compile this, save it, and play. Okay, so my text is still named text. So localhost /setText up, and the get variable is text equal 10, for instance, and my text immediately changed to the value 10, and the response is okay. You can put everything you want in this response, it doesn't matter at all. Text. Okay, this is a sentence. Okay, everything works. Okay, Perfect. Now for our last example, we will try to move an asset in 3D, for instance a cube. Okay, I will move this cube. So I set this cube to movable, and I will create a new endpoint with using this add. Oh, mistake. Okay. Okay. And my path will be set cube position. I create a new custom event, set cube pos callback. Okay, with everything, executing game thread again because we will edit a particular object. Send response. Construct response with okay. You don't have to send a response every time, but it's preferable for your web client to have a clear response at each request, okay? Because using this kind of response, a HTTP code will be automatically sent with 200 value, okay? So the web server, the web client will understand everything works as its purpose. So I just have to set cube position here. So I get a reference on my cube here. Set actor location. Okay, here. I will construct a new vector with 3 values. This value will come from getVars again. For instance, the x, the y, and z. Okay, x, y, z, the connection. Okay, so okay, let's open Edge, set cube pos x 100, y 100, and z 100, and voila, my cube moves. Let's use another value, 200. Instantly my cube moves. Okay, perfect. Perfect. And if I don't use values, the value will be 0. Okay? Okay, so this first tutorial is done. I hope it will help you, and if you need more help, just send an email or follow us, send us a private message on Facebook. Just tell us what kind of other tutorials you want to see about our plugins. Okay, thank you, bye.